There's nothing that stops a bullet like a job.
Unemployment is one of the ways in which people are incentivized to go and do crime. The ANC has for 30 years been able to present a medium-term budget without scrutiny.
This is why the GNU is a beacon of light for the people of South Africa, because we now have an opportunity to do things right.
Don't think people really understand the difference of having a job, you know, and what it can do for you as a person.
You need a government that is obsessed with putting every cent and every rand towards that ultimate goal.
You might not like the DA, but the bottom line is that we are a job-creating machine.
Guys, what an interesting conversation we're having today. But I really just want us to, who's in the room right now?
Yeah.
Let's start that side.
All right. I mean, Siri calls me Baxalao, so there's some way to say it. But my name is Bakole Notada, Deputy Chief Whip of the Day in Parliament. So it's good to be here, chilling with you guys, relaxed.
Hey, dude.
What's up?
What's up?
I mean, apart from someone and thinking about the budget that is, everything is up. Everything is a good opportunity for us to just relax, take stock about what the year has been, our milestones, things that made us cry. But my name is Karabo. Lerato Khachao. Lerato is fondly used by my uncle. Actually, Malime Senki. God bless his soul. We all have those uncles. But yeah, I'm the DS national spokesperson.
That's very awesome.
All right. Awesome stuff.
I am Donovan Nelson. I'm a ward councillor in the city of Cape Town.
There we go. Leon on PT, sometimes innocent, but...
Hey! My dog.
Innocent.
You do not look innocent.
Wait, it's actually my dad. My dad actually gave me that name, Innocent.
And then look, I mean, thank God you started giving me that name. I'm not sure you're living up to it.
He ain't happening.
One thing to name something.
Come on.
Do you have your glasses with you?
What glasses?
Put on your glasses. I want to show them like
shades?
Yeah, your shades.
I don't have
No. Let's
when he's on, I saw him on the was a Signal Hill.
Yeah.
He took a picture.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder who took that photo. Innocent.
What?
Yeah, but Zaran, hold on. I wanna, I'm very. So I want to go back to this December conversation, because a friend of mine and us were having a conversation about the pressure that comes with December and its budget.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because you're living every day, you're going to work, you're sweating, and you're supposed to be saving for those bottles and those concert tickets and those sundanas. And then December arrives, and then the budget is not budgeting.
My sister will always make a plan. That's the one thing about South Africans. They will make a plan in December.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Even if you have nothing. I've seen a lot of people like, I wish I could skip this month. I forgot to save this year.
Yes.
The only thing I saved was my job. I'm like, guys, hey. But we'll make a plan. It's December.
We are resilient people. We always, debt can come afterwards.
We'll laugh at our problems.
It's fine. We are going to enjoy ourselves. It's December.
We have TJ Jaivani doing the things for us. Life is good.
I'm always looking forward to December. It's like it's the best time for me of the year, because you can enjoy yourself. Obviously, I think the other thing is also we work very hard. Being in council and being in parliament and being in the DA, I think you're in an environment that produces a lot of good, hard-working people, and so we work really hard, and so you do look forward to actually taking that little break in December. And for me, being in Cape Town, beaches, always a good time. We go to a little small dorpie every single year with my wife.
All right.
And swim a lot, braai a lot.
So you know how to swim.
Well, what else do you do a lot? Come on, Donovan, you can't stop there.
I'm very bad, brother.
Hiking a lot,
Hiking, enjoying the
Swimming a lot. There we go.
I mean, Yolo, we've had a very interesting, week, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had to describe your week in one meme or emoji, what would it be for you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can say, I finished my exams this week, so I'm very happy about that. So I'll use that emoji with that person with the Christmas hat or party hat. Do you see that one?
No.
With the party hat, celebrating.
We're terrible at
That is describing it.
You know, I thought you maybe were like
Yeah.
like a peer-to-peer cheers.
All right, that can also work.
Or Bonang holding the champagne glass for you to say
Yes,
cheers,
yes,
because we're done.
That's stretching it. I'm not sure about that, but
I would probably say the emoji if when everything goes well at work. That's suspicious. You know, like this week has just been like so good. Residents are messaging saying thank you for this, thank you. I'm like, what's happening here? This feels too good.
much.
Yeah. You know, so that's probably an emoji or a meme for me. Yeah.
that is actually a very like a rare one in politics. For people to be like, well done, you've done great.
Yeah, then you've arrived.
Then you know
just
there's
like-
Without your
something.
PR team, without
You know,
spokesperson.
there's something in the water, like something fishy in the water, something happening. Can I go?
For me, I can only think of that picture that was taken by the president, Cyril Ramaphosa. He looks like a little child that's excited with his hands like this.
What?
Wait, he's sitting like that because I had a really good week. I'm like, all the time. You were always like a pinch away of like, eh, and then at the same time, excited at the same time. That has been my week. So I can only think of that.
That's interesting. Mine is that if you guys remember when the president went for a press conference during COVID and he had to put on his mask.
Yes.
And like he
very
covered his
naked.
eyes and his face while trying to.
Yeah.
I've had like a mixed bag of a week, like a mixed veg of a week. Some good stuff at work,
Yeah.
you know, like some interesting stuff in my personal life, but missing some stuff for my son's things and
Yeah.
losing my uncle in the week, but then achieving
You
some
lost
stuff
your
at work.
uncle
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah,
That's
we all go through this stuff. But like it was like a mixed bag of the week. And then interesting enough, yesterday, let me tell you guys a story you would not believe. I get an inquiry from one of the ANC journalists. They're like, oh, yeah, well, Mr. Notada, we just wanted you to comment. We hear that you've got a farm in... what is the place? I forgot the name, but it's in Kaimouth in the Eastern Cape, and there's some illegal dacha that is being planted there, and some abalone poaching. So we just wanted you to comment on
Dacha and abalone in a farm.
and they said, like, and the property is illegal, and the name on the lease is your name. I just woke up. I'm like, guys, no man. Like, first of all, I've never been to Kaima. What the hell is abalone poaching?
What is Kaima?
Abalone, whatever. I'm from Tolo, man. Like in that general areas,
Insane.
So they come back and go, oh, no, and they had sent me a picture of myself and all that. So they come back an hour later. I'm like, this guy's like, it doesn't make sense to me. They're like, oh no, it's mistaken identity.
Oh my god.
I don't want to use the words that I used there.
my
but
I mean,
my point was like, you guys are just trying to mess up my week. And I'm already having like a masked week of Cyril Ramaphosa happening there, you know? So that was my week. But
Yo, man, that sounds hectic. That sounds hectic.
Out of fish them into not fish with an F but with a PH. You continue to keep the conversation going. Where did you find out this information? You know, who's your source, etc. And then at the end just say it's not me.
the end of the year is near. People are just really tired of being at work on these things because that's how you end up with such mistaken identity.
What is it? What's abalone? Abalone poaching. What is
like
that, guys?
Abalone is a
Delicate.
it's a delicacy.
Yes.
It's obviously it's
fish.
been banned, but farming is allowed in South Africa, and so most of the abalone we get from farmed places. I think along the west coast, but it's really mostly exported in a dry form. So what these guys do is they poach a lot of them, they dry them out, and then it becomes quite smaller. So when it's exported to the Chinese market, they can actually just put it in water and it gets to the same size again, expands again.
The only time I've ever got to even know that there's such a delicacy like abalone is the isiXhosa show, Gqeberha, Kaboluzu Komxhenge. That's the only time I got to know about that because, okay.
Because the people know abalone.
It's deep there by the ocean
my brother,
economy.
I was actually about to ask Donovan to like actually describe it because like I'm trying to like have a picture of
We
it. Of,
can't
like, what type.
describe
It's a
it,
shell.
yeah.
So it's a mussel that sits on a shell,
Okay, cool.
and it sits on to attached to a rock. So you get it by the time that while it's eating, it sort of moves removes the shell away from the muscle, from the rock, and you have the opportunity to obviously put a knife in, or a blade, a spade, a blade, and remove it. So there's a lot of stories. I mean, when I was growing up, we used to go to a place called Kommetjie. It's on the coast in Cape Town, and you could at the time still die for it. And actually, when if you use your hands to put it in, it can close, and you can actually drown. That's how powerful the muscle is.
Yeah, that's why I don't know.
I'm from Joburg.
I mean, a lot of my people from where I'm from can't swim, my
I
brother.
would say for real, if anybody wants to send Donovan to their grandmother's house because they don't have dirty thoughts, they're just a pure child, do it. Donovan is that person, because I know what an abalone looks like. And I'm telling you, we should not be having this conversation.
It's that thing. Now I don't know what it's saying. They could have
Listen.
accused me of something else.
Oh, God. You guys
I mean, I don't need an abalone to look at. Anyways,
This is a children's show.
Yes.
That's
This
the
is,
point.
yeah, let's not go to that Benenge
But
emoji.
okay, speaking of because this is clearly something that makes y'all happy.
Yes.
What about this week made you happy?
Oh, wow.
Or sad? Or both?
So I mean, I think being able to finish my exams was really one.
That's really
Well done.
And being here. That's making me happy right now. Being able to be next to the white elephant
Hey,
brings back memories.
We don't want to talk about that. now.
Maybe one day I'll share that. One thing that made me sad, not seeing my brother. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a bit, so I miss him quite a bit. So that's the only thing that I was.
Go see your brother, dude. Go
Yeah.
see your brother.
Yeah.
It could happen.
There we go.
one thing that made me happy, I think, just serving my residents. As I said, I had a good week this week. Lots of feedback from the residents. It's always funny. Residents will often, complain about a thing, but they hardly come back and say, "Oh, it's done." So you have to create a follow-up loop or to close it. But a lot of them came back this week, and that always makes you feel very good because it means you're delivering a service that is meaningful to them. One thing that makes me sad, I think, probably the murders on the Cape Flats. I think crime on the Cape Flats is becoming a national conversation now. The DA yesterday in our provincial parliament in the Western Cape had a debate on that as well. And so I think it's something that I'm thinking about quite a lot. Because I live on the Cape Flats. I'm a ward councillor for a community on the Cape Flats, and so I think it's something that is definitely needing the national ministers to start thinking hard about how do we reform SAPS, etc. as well.
Yeah, that's actually quite a sad one, and considering that. I know that John and Ian did a walk about the engaged community in Philippi and Mitchell's playing yesterday. It's just, I just wish people didn't have to politic about people's lives.
Absolutely.
And I think the national minister, if they gave the responsibility to competent provinces and cities like the city of Cape Town, more can be done. Nobody says we are trying to exclude our fight against crime just to one place, but I mean, it's pretty terrible. In Mitchell's Plain, Philippi, and some parts of the city of Cape Town, and that's what creates the perception that one part of the city looks a certain way and another part of the city looks a certain way. It just requires people just to leave holding on to power and give it to people that can actually change people's lives for the better, because it's young people that get drawn into these gangs, get killed. It's people that are breadwinners in their families or trying to at least, get a better life for them. So, that is actually a very sad thing. But at least we do have a plan, and that's why I'm proud of the guys that went to the Lion's Den. Some people wouldn't walk those streets. I mean, John did that yesterday. Ian did that, and I mean that's quite commendable. But also, I know that you live there, so on a daily you're fighting that. So we need to give responsibility to people that, can change things for the better.
But also, the other thing for me, government can do great things with great resources and the great devolution. But it means nothing if our own communities are also not playing their part outside of government and cracking the code. The fact that we know who the gangsters are, we know who the murderers are, we know who the drug lords are in all our communities. I say this because home is a township for me. When I go back, Jerusalem, to my mom, mosque in the hood, and everybody knows who's the thug there and whatnot. And when things go wrong, the first people to protect those people are either ourselves as a community to say, no, they are one of our own, or the parents in the family. But the mom who would be like, but this is my son, I've given birth to them, I can't do anything. And those are the things that we need to be cracking down off. We must have a healthy understanding of what love is. You won't teach Uluake that love to your son is tolerating him doing wrong things and inflicting harm on people, and you protecting him from things that he shouldn't even be found himself in. Love is saying, I want you to be the best version of yourself, be a good person alongside other people, and just being held accountable. And so that's something that we must be honest about. So
I also think that what we're kind of seeing also in our communities is that they're fast becoming a boiling point. And I think you're seeing people in communities really getting more angry and more angry. And I think it's very important for national government to really be able to step in before the situation boils out of control. I mean, our communities are really facing the worst of the worst as it deals with gangs. So I do think, and I hope with the plan that the DA has to allow devolution of policing into provinces, this is something that can actually be dealt with at some point.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about these sad things all all day, but we have to. I mean, we'll touch on it. But for you, Kara, what made you happy this week? What made you sad?
I want to know what to start with. Let me start with the sad because I wanted to lift my mood. So in committee today, on Wednesday.
Yeah, you sound like you're about to fight.
Yes, because I was so upset. I was really, 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 really so upset. In committee, we had the Sol Plaiki. I serve in the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training. And we had the Sol Plaiki University in front of us to discuss the state of affairs. In our engagements, it is brought to our attention that there is a young woman who was sexually violated by a fellow young person in the institution who was a SRC leader at the time. And then they had a disciplinary, but the disciplinary only dealt with the fight. So the men in the room, the leadership of the institution, are denying it altogether, that there's no such that happened. One. Number two, that, but also she also beat him up. Of course, if you're sexually violating me, because what are you doing? And so, for me, what was upsetting was the fact that I was sitting in a room with those people protecting that boy. And it didn't even just got to a point where the disciplinary didn't take shape to anyway. They even hired him back into the institution.
Sure.
And they're playing politics about it. And so for me, I had an opportunity to engage with the HOO of the institution, the COO of the institution, honestly to say, maybe did you miss it or what happened? And he quite blankly wanted to make a fool of me, playing politics about the name. And I just lost it. That just made me mad. It made me very, 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 very upset. And that's why I started with this, because then the next thing that makes me happy is what calms me down.
Yes, it's good.
Yes, what calms me down.
Yeah.
The next thing, what calms me down is my partner. God bless that man's soul. And the reason why I say so is because we have so many conversations about like what pisses me off. But we don't really have enough conversations about men who are really good men, who don't inflict harm on people, who just love them, protect them in our safe spaces. And after that day, I'm able to go back home and just be happy and be a girl that's just loved.
Okay.
And,
All right.
And that makes so that's
It's also the first time that she has named him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And now for all of our viewers, she's no
I
longer
better not find
available.
Yeah,
better not find out.
I just hope we don't lose votes there. Just a disclaimer. Yeah, she's still available for service delivery. But yeah, I mean,
what's something that made you happy this week?
I mean, for me, guys, there's nothing that makes me more happy than my son.
No, yes,
come on,
man.
Like that boy cracks me up. Let me one thing that made me happy. He did his last oral, and they asked him to do an oral about who's his hero.
Yeah,
right. I knew nothing about it until I got home, and it did the oral for me. That made me very happy.
Who's the hero?
Said his hero's his father.
Come on.
So that made me really, really happy. Sometimes we wake up and do what we do. And we forget who we're doing it for because you're just in it and you're just, trying to do it. But that's why I wake up every day to do it for my son. So, I was very, very happy for him to recognize that despite that I might be gone for a week and I come back and I'll do the things that I need to do. And today I can't wait to get to him, actually. Wow. So that made me really happy. And we actually laughed because we support Liverpool, right? So
yes, indeed. That's
so
the good
I went to go pick him up at school. So he's like, you know what? I want to tell you something. I'm like, okay, cool. What's up? He's like, we've been cooked this season. Right? Like,
Stir fry.
not the whole season, but we've been cooked this season. Like, are we really eighth?
Sure.
You know what? If these guys lose again, I'm gonna pack away my t-shirt. I'm just gonna hide it somewhere. Like, we lost to this team. He started counting it. He's like, and we lost to Man United. That made me very angry.
Oh my gosh.
So we actually had a crack about that. We laughed about that. So those moments for me make me happy.
Priceless.
And they're priceless. And the sad thing about the week before coming or going to Cape Town is having to leave him, right? So that's the saddest part. So despite the fact that I lost my uncle and all of that, I think the saddest part for me is just to leave him because we both hate goodbyes. We always count down when we come back. So it's just a balanced life. For me, it's like a personal thing. So that's where my happiness.
I want to touch on something. I don't want us to glide on it through it. The fact that Uluake identifies you, he's a boy, Uluake, identifies you, Tatake, as his hero, is something that must become normal.
Absolutely.
In South Africa. You go through social media and you see when present dads showcase their presentness out there and they have good relationships with their boy children, which is something that is not... something that we don't see enough in the country. You have people who are like, because of the pain of growing up without fathers, I'm one of them. The man whose sperm is responsible for fertilizing my mom's eggs is not present in my life, right? But what's good for me is that I'm a girl child. So, but for the boy child, we should do that because people on social media will be like, that's AI. There's no such. You're just parading this person. So. Shout out to you.
Big ups, bro.
Well
Big
done.
ups.
But I think all of us, we've got a responsibility, guys.
100%.
We all have a responsibility. And I know you too, have, your own children that you're present for. I think it's important for us to do that so that we don't have to have movements, like Women for Change that are saying, look, we've got perpetrators all around us. And we as men, have that responsibility. And it doesn't stop there, Karabo. I've got a Brothers Circle project. In fact, I did some work in Mthatha this past weekend where I speak to broken young men, young dads, people that have come from drugs. I've had some of my own family, the way I have to help and, share them. So that we just change the moral etiquette of society, and I think sometimes as men, we get left behind in the conversation. Not just the conversation, but to change that narrative. Because you're not going to get a good husband without developing the men we need to develop in society.
Absolutely.
That's the reality.
Yep.
We grow up as, brothers that we've never seen present, husbands that we've never come across, fathers that, I only knew my dad when I was 13, as an example. Love him to bits, though. So I think those conversations are very important, And I think also there is some grace that needs to be given to men that are willing to change that status quo and that moral etiquette so that we start developing that. Because we can talk about, the police must fix this and, there must be no DNA backlog and we must chase against perpetrators. But the root cause of it is that they shouldn't be perpetrators to begin with, and that's why we have to do the work that we do. I do it in my own small space and I'm sure individually we try in our own friend groups and all of that. But just bashing and pointing fingers at men, it's not gonna help the conversation. It's not gonna change anything. You can say all the rude things you want, but we need to start doing like a bottoms up, so that the men of tomorrow, don't inherit the behaviors of today.
I think it's quite fitting because we've obviously seen so many people change their profile pictures to purple during the past few weeks, and Karabo is wearing her grandmother's beautiful jacket. And I think it's fitting because we often come to this time of the year as South Africans, and 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, and we have all of these conversations, and I always say it's pretty much braai conversations because we just have it around the braai, and then we walk away from there, and there's no real change. And yes, the DA has made, I think, substantial proposals for how we can tackle gender-based violence. The DNA situation is one way. We want to make sure that DNA evidence can be collected as soon as possible, stored and used against in prosecution. Fixing the criminal justice system, making sure that the laws allow for you to actually keep perpetrators behind bars, making bail difficult, etc. But it is important, this conversation around raising a generation of men. I think we've had this conversation around the boy child, raising a generation of men that is able to protect women, not for the sake that they are just a different gender, but actually because they recognize that their role in society is to protect women.
We see them as human.
Exactly. So I think it's a fitting conversation in this time, and it shows that if you raise men that are able to be present, be at home, be in the moment, protect their wives, protect women, respect them. You then have a family that understands their role in society, which is to actually say, if there is a young man that needs support, we can provide that support. The only reason you can do the work that you're doing with boys is because you are a present father. It would be miserably and a big failure if you actually an hypocrite and also trying to go and teach young men how to be boys.
For me, you speak about the braai. Automatically, I think about in your circle, everybody knows who their friends are, who their family are, who their associates are. And one thing that I think we're not deliberate about is shunning people who are guilty and they are perpetrators. When I come to you, Donovan, and I tell you that somebody has violated me as a woman, it is not up to you to decide to think, but how long have I been friends with this person? They are my brother. Do I know them? Oh, and if I work with them, what are the costs of disassociating with them and all of those other things? Because the minute you do that, you are creating a safe space for a perpetrator to warmly exist within society without accountability, knowing that my bros got me and I am who I am, the animal and the disgusting vulture that I am is protected and has a space in society. And so when you look at the Women for Change movement, what it's calling for is, it's not calling for anything drastic where we're going to have the riots like we saw in KZN in 2021. My understanding of the movement is saying, in solidarity with every life that has been lost, where every 2.5 hours somebody is being buried, because they are killed by somebody that they trusted in most instances, or just somebody who just believes that they have a godship over their body. Let's stand in the middle of any CBD or town or anywhere and just for 12 minutes take a moment of silence to soak that in and understand that. That's what it's all about. But most importantly, that it must be in everybody's face that this thing is really real, that it is happening. When you open your phone and you send me a WhatsApp, the first thing you must see is my purple profile picture, and automatically your conscience dies. When you scroll over Twitter or X, I'll forever call it Twitter. When you scroll over X, TikTok or Facebook, that there is a deliberate conscientization of how real this thing is. But most importantly, that government's conversation about the problem and their role in fixing it must be one that is seen as something that is a matter of urgency. That we can't be talking anymore, that we're supposed to doing action, and which is why I want to quickly move, which is why the Speaker of Parliament, Metoko Didiza, for example, has called on both the Portfolio Committee on Women, Youth, Persons with Disabilities, the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education, and the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education and Training to, on the 21st of October, to sit and deliberate on these matters, so that Parliament itself plays an important role in actioning what needs to happen tomorrow.
Look, I think this is it's a very important topic, and I think in principle we obviously support the Women for Change movement. That, you know, gender-based violence is something that needs to be at the forefront as something that we fight against crime. There's a lot of work that we do in the DA to fight that. I mean, I know this Friday, you know, past Friday, we obviously had a massive conversation around the DNA backlog and what needs to be done on that. Just the small things that need to be done, you know, in public prosecution, in the police, and what's happening, for example, in the Madlanga Commission, the ad hoc committee. Is not building any confidence, you know, towards South Africans in fighting against crime. And I mean, that's another thing. I mean, we just saw this chief of staff of the minister and Gabinde.
Choose your friends wisely, guys.
Literally making a joke of this thing. It's like, no, we went on a boys trip with Mkwanazi. What
happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
And just going to show in one day, you watch the screen, there's Madlanga Commission, there's the ad hoc committee, you go to their courts, if it's not the Senzomio or trial, it's the AKA trial. Like, there's just like a security
issue,
mishmash, you know? And I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, there's like crime in the country and all these commissions and these committees, and what needs to be done, man?
It's definitely a major issue that I think we are facing now. One way I want to address this is perhaps to look at what happened this week, in that we, Stats SA release some of the latest jobs stats for this quarter. Jobs and is directly linked to crime, in that unemployment is one of the ways in which people are incentivized to go and do crime. We've seen in the Western Cape, where the DA governs, produced
130,000 jobs in construction, 70,000 jobs in the Western Cape,
agriculture, 14,000.
40,000 in the city of Cape Town alone. Of the 70 in Western Cape, you have 40,000 in the city of Cape Town.
Absolutely.
Which is super cool.
So, it's telling us this story, and, I've been thinking about this over the past few days when I started reading this data. What does it mean for a person living in the Western Cape? What does it mean for someone living in Cape Town? It's actually telling a story of, if you live in the Western Cape, you are most likely to find a job than anywhere else in the country. That's it, full stop. If the unemployment in Cape Town is 21% versus compared to the rest of the country at 40%, 50%, you automatically have a situation where, you're actually seeing the results of a DA-led government.
And that's important, I mean, just to clamp on your point, I'm from the Eastern Cape.
Bro.
All right? I've got a lot of family in Kailicha, in Philippi, in some parts of Langa here in Cape Town. The way they came here is they took their blankets, those striped bags, we call them umaskotuke, right? Got into a bus or a taxi with a trailer at the back, and they came here, right? And when they first came, some of them, they built a shack and they got a job, and now they've got a house in the city of Cape Town. But they've got security of a job. And I can tell you,
you won't find that.
You're going to watch them on the 12th of December. Watch how many taxis leave the Western Cape, in Cape Town particularly, back to the Eastern Cape. because a lot of people find opportunity here.
Absolutely.
You might not like the idea, you might have your own viewpoints about it, but the bottom line is that we are a job creating machine.
We put food on the table.
And we're obsessed with that because a lot of families benefit from that. Kids go to schools, they're able to get, decent meal on a daily basis, 1 or 2, 3 meals on a daily basis. And people have a dignity of a job.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing that stops a bullet like a job.
There we go.
And that's why watching some of these, job stats, it's a good yardstick moving forward, but we need to accelerate the reform. I mean, here's 14,000 jobs created in agriculture, a lot of exports that have been opened by the Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, but they can't be stuck at the port because the port is incompetent. So for us to be able to expand and accelerate this in the rest of the country, we need to remove those backlogs. The freight rail, the trains that take the food from the farms to the port needs to be, public-private partnerships. They get there faster. People are able to release those foods into different markets quicker, and there's a ripple effect on job creation. And people in the Eastern Cape then don't have to leave the Eastern Cape and get onto the taxis and buses because there is opportunities.
The reason why for me I love this conversation is because what we are able to do with the job creation that we're able to see where we govern is illustrate that jobs don't just fall from the tree.
There we go.
That you need a government that is obsessed with putting every cent and every rand towards that ultimate goal. That is growing the economy, creating jobs and alleviating poverty. The reason why you have 40,000 jobs created in the last 3 months alone in the city of Cape Town is because Jordan Hill Lewis and the team have been obsessed with making sure that we have investments that come into the city of Cape Town. The same is true with Alan Windy and his team. And their obsession is not just about themselves as government, because they understand that it is not government's job to create jobs, but it is government's job to create the environment where jobs can happen. Is that they are partnering with the public sector. The economic agenda in government understands the role that the private sector plays in gathering all of those investments. Investments that you see in infrastructure, most importantly. Infrastructure, not just in the form of buildings, but infrastructure in terms of the road network that is necessary for that.
130,000 jobs in construction. Department of Public Works. Doing great.
And you also look at water. Nobody wants to come to your Johannesburg where you come from because you don't have water.
Did you shower?
You don't have water in Johannesburg.
We will have water soon.
Because of the G20. But after the G20, will you have water?
No, we won't.
For me, I keep talking about Machabeng, Velkom, where I come from. How na metsi Machabeng? Harina metsi. Because masipala o kolota tšhelete Machabeng. So for me, I think the most important consideration for voters is that. Putting food on the table for each and every household, and it's good that we're doing that.
And I think it's always so easy to look at these numbers, right, and just be like, okay, it's 40,000 in the city of Cape Town. But I don't think people really understand the difference of having a job, and what it can do for you as a person, how you can take care of your family, as you're saying, Bax. It's such a way of just establishing dignity for yourself. And I think these numbers are just not numbers. They are people who are going to go further to improve the lives of their families, their kids, their grandmothers. It's such a deep and beautiful thing. And we need this to be taken all over the country, and it can only be done by people, as you said, who are obsessed with trying to create jobs in our country. We need that in Johannesburg. We need it across our country.
And I mean, talking about obsession, part of the obsession of making sure that there's an enabling environment for investments to come is what we do with the budget, right?
Yes.
So we've got a very solid Deputy Minister in Asho Serapin, who's influenced, shout out to Asho, who's basically influenced 3 key things that we've taken away from the budget. We've managed to save almost 6.7 billion from wasteful expenditure. Instead of people procuring things for this cup for the exact amount, they'd want to buy this cup 10 times more. So we found a lot of savings in that. So there's 6.7 more billion that can go into the fiscus to do service delivery, to make sure that we create that enabling environment for people to get jobs. But more so than anything, we went and found ghost workers.
Yes.
Paying people that are not there. You're paying for jackets and seats, And there are savings there. But the biggest one I think for us with investment is clawing back on debt and borrowing, because the less you borrow, the less debt you have, the less interest you have to pay. Absolutely. Meaning the more money that then flows in the fiscus. I mean, that rand to the dollar yesterday was 16 rand.
Absolutely.
That's like a 2 rand jump in 2 days. And that goes to show you how important making sure that you've got the right budget and the right budget outlook for you to be able to open up, your market for investments to come and create jobs.
But Max, let me be clear. It's the ANC has for 30 years been able to pass a medium-term budget, or to present a medium-term budget without scrutiny and without someone next to the finance minister saying, these are our commitments to our voters. This is what we want to see. We see that in yesterday's announcement, yes, but what it also means, and I want to be clear here, that a country is like us. We have a salary and we spend our money, based on our needs. So the country does the same. But when we do spend over that what we can actually afford, our credit score is affected. Meaning that if we want to purchase a house or if we want to purchase a car, the banks won't give us that credit because we are not dealing with our finances in the same way. Bringing down our debt as a country is enabling us to have investor confidence in our country, which is exactly what we need. We need fixed-term investment to come back into the country so that more jobs can be created. And the other thing I wanted to mention around yesterday's announcement is that for the first time in our dispensation, the Minister of Finance is now talking about a fiscal threshold, which is what Ashur has been pushing for or championing for a very long time, which is to say that any future government coming in cannot undo all of our hard work now by just going rokers with the credit card. We should actually have a threshold. It should be legislation. We should cap it so that we can actually see all of that money going back into our country.
And the other thing that's beautiful is beyond capping it, what we're doing is I'm thinking in Sesotho first, but let's
It's not your mother tongue. Not your mother tongue.
So what we is instilled a culture that says when you have a credit card, instead of buying your household's everyday needs, which in the context of South Africa is the service delivery needs of government to the people on the credit card, and then buying everything from that, spending all of the money from that, and then when you have to pay back, you're paying back both those costs plus the interest. We are now at a point where, with the budget efficiencies, spending efficiencies that we have found with ghost workers and spending money on advertising, catering, and travels, and all of those other things, money that we've gotten, we're able to then use directly from our pockets in the state to fund state service delivery. And then the only thing we're doing now and looking forward, focusing on, is just paying off the interest.
Absolutely.
The credit card is there for state of emergency, if there is an emergency. But South Africa has never been a poor country in terms of resources. We've always had money. Our money has not always been spent correctly. And this is why the GNU is a beacon of light for the people of South Africa, because we now have an opportunity to do things right that we never have. And so shout out to Ashur, but shout out to the National Treasury team.
Absolutely.
The entire financial sector that has worked well with government to make sure that we get those outcomes. There's more to come.
I mean, with that point, Leola, for an ordinary South African who's like listening to us, we're politicians, we know how this thing works, we know what legislation, law looks like, what a money bill is. What does this translate to for like an ordinary person on the ground?
Yeah, I think, the victories that the team at National Treasury have been able to achieve through Ashur as well, through his contribution, are massive, right? We know that in the public service, there's a lot of basically taking the prices up.
Yeah.
You know, like you were saying, that if you're trying to buy a glass in the public sector, which is like maybe 10 rand, they'll be selling it for 30 rand and buy it for 30 rand.
75 rand.
75 rand. So there's been a huge scale of really just looting of the state as much as possible. So the recovery of some of these funds and trying to scale down is something that's massive, because we are saving the public, the taxpayer money. That's most important, because taxpayers fund our country. They fund service delivery. They fund what we do in this country. So we're going to be saving taxpayers' money, first of all, most importantly. Ghost workers. I think we were sitting here a while back talking to Francois, and I think a number of people, you know, it's happening in every province where we are literally paying salaries for people that do not exist, people that do not even do the job that they are there to do. So I think it's very important that we've been able to actually deal with ghost workers, because again, saving money for the taxpayer is the most important thing. Spending the taxpayers' money in a way that is clear and is not wasteful is also something that's important. So I think South Africans can look forward to a country that is less reliant on debt, on borrowing, but a country that eventually, through the interventions that are being made, will be able to be self-sufficient, will be able to, you know, not paying more of their debt, but rather investing more in the country.
But most importantly, Bax, if you have more money available to spend on the right things, you have more money to fill pit latrines, to not have them and have dignified toilets for children. You have more money to improve the quality of infrastructure for TVET institutions and CETs within this country, and even schools themselves.
Yes.
You have more money to spend on building good quality clinics and maintaining hospitals, and we don't have a Tembisa anywhere, or even the regional hospital that is Bongane, where I come from. You have more money to invest in good quality road infrastructure. You have more money for water and sanitation to improve the infrastructure for the sewage networks and all of those other things. That's more money. But there's another good thing for people who are working, who are choking in debt, who are they have to choose between whether you pay lobola or you fat and set, because you can't do both at the same time. To choose between buying a car and a house, because you can't do both. Choose between renting and taking your child to school. All of those other things. The announcement that came was that we are now looking at how do we tamper with inflation and the borrowing costs, making it more and more affordable for you to knock on the bank's door to ask for a loan and financing for your house, for your vehicle, by curbing then our debt servicing costs. So that's the real thing that we're doing here, and it's really good. I think for me, I've never actually been more energized about the GNU than I am right now, because how the budget, because what the policy statement, the medium-term budget policy statement is supposed to do is to look at how, for the next 3 years, how do we frame our fiscal policy in a way that makes sure that not only do we grow the economy and put food, I want to emphasize food on the table, but also how do we then make sure that the money we use balances the service delivery needs of the country.
I love what you said about the GNU, because I think you see, so the budget was one I think example that we can now clearly see the GNU is working. Another is the minister saying that BEE is under review, and I know this comes from your question in Parliament. So please explain to us, because I think it's so historical now in this dispensation that we have the ANC buckling under this policy that has only benefit the elite.
Look, I mean, just drawing from the budget, leading into BE and any other form of policy for that matter, is that our responsibility as the DA and the GNU is to challenge our thinking about policy. Is this policy ending poverty? Is it creating jobs and growing the economy? Is it stopping crime? Is it delivering basic services? Is it cutting out corruption? So our policy thinking must always be about South Africans and how it directly impacts their lives. So I asked the Deputy President this week and I said to him, look, the reality is that I come from deep rural Tsolo. You can go to my village and ask every single household, have you benefited from BEE? The likely answer is no. And that BEE policy, the Black Economic Empowerment Policy, was meant to empower poor, vulnerable South Africans to get onto the opportunity ladder so that they're able to access economic opportunity, jobs, so that they can go back and change the circumstance of their birth, feed their families, and so on. And the people that the BEE policy was intended for has not benefited. That's the reality. What it has done, which sometimes people get uncomfortable speak about, is create a black privileged few at the top and nonchalance of the ladder. And you will find that there's 100 people, 100 black South Africans that have benefited from BEE that are just rotating money and opportunities around, in and amongst themselves. And those people are likely politically connected, right? They are ANC cadres. That's the bottom line, whether we like it or not. That is why nobody, when the ANC Secretary General said, why aren't you guys defending BEE? Because they don't benefit from BEE. I mean, I for one can't point to who I know that has benefited from BEE in my own village. Right? In my own village. So it's a very difficult thing. And the fact that the Deputy President then said when he responded to me, actually, you're right. You know, we agree with the DA when it says we need to have an economic inclusion bill and law that's going to ensure that the people that redress and transformation is meant for actually goes to them. It doesn't benefit the people that went to Tembisa hospitals and built luxury homes and drove luxury cars,
Bugattis and Lamborghinis.
You know,
Porsche.
I mean, when people are actually like starving, like where's your conscience? You know, and the Deputy President said, look, the Black Economic Empowerment Policy is now under review, which is a good thing for us in the GNU because it then gets to say, okay, you now agree with us that there's a problem here. This policy doesn't benefit everyone. So let's take the economic inclusion approach.
The alternative,
You know, where we make sure that, you know, when we give businesses, you know, a responsibility, how are they responding to the sustainable development goals? Are they building a school in that community, a road? Are they employing someone? You know, the direct impact for that community rather than saying, let's give 30% to Loyolo because he's black and he owns a company and let him go be a millionaire.
20% to Donovan because he's colored.
And so on.
So I think you've unpacked it very beautifully. And I think what's always a challenge in the room about having such conversations such as BEE and what makes them emotional is the fact that we come from a history where, I mean, the years of colonialism and apartheid followed have systematically made it close to impossible for any person of color to succeed.
Absolutely.
And even those who are in employment right now, who are CEOs of banks, of good investment companies and all sorts of companies, even though there are people of color there, they still haven't for themselves and their families caught up to what other people had access to since prior to the democratic dispensation. And so what the mood within the ANC, it's signaling there being a need to review it is it gives us an opportunity to look at both things, right? To say there's nothing wrong with wanting to make sure that people catch up economically and make sure that we expand and share the wealth of the country, because it shouldn't be centralized into what is perceived to be one racial group, right? Particularly if that racial group is directly proportionally linked to oppression in the past. But how do we share that funds? But most importantly, how do we make sure that even the beneficiaries that come from economic empowerment don't now become the oppressors themselves of yesterday, where they use opportunities for just themselves and the boerdedom, which of the day would be your cat makalas, but for everybody else. So the review is really good. And you would remember the leaders of the GNU went to that retreat where they spoke and had healthy conversations. And for me, that's very encouraging. And I would believe it's encouraging for the people of our country who have for the past said, but Are you guys working in this GNU? Are you finding each other because you're forever fighting? I think now we're at a point where the teething problems within the GNU, we've gotten past them, and we're now really sitting on the table to find each other and make sure that majority, if not everybody, of who the GNU is responsible for get to benefit.
So, Karabo, I wanted to maybe just quickly, if you could just unpack this bill, Economic Inclusion for All bill, just briefly. What is it about?
So we have identified, like Bax outlined very well, that the problem is that, particularly with public procurement, you've had a problem where people manipulate it, or even the tender system itself is awarded not on the basis of whether you're able to do the job, which is a problem, because if that's the case, then we wouldn't have houses that were built in democratic South Africa collapsing when houses that were built in apartheid South Africa are still standing, right? So that's that, testing the capacity of people to do the work. But most importantly, looking at beyond doing the work, what is the contribution that you are doing within the communities? Is it tangible? Is it sustainable? Is it uplifting everybody else? But 3, are you the fairest competitor on the table to do that job? Or are you there because exeme bro? So that's as far as public procurement is concerned, that's the problem. And what we're trying to do here is that we look at all of those things to say the most affordable, but so efficiency and effectiveness go together, right? And that person is the person that you give the responsibility to doing the job. And if we gave you a responsibility to go build a school and you botched it, because what we've been tolerant of, we've had the circulation within this government work of people who have proven themselves to be useless at doing their job, but they're still there. But the other thing that we must challenge is the conversation around, does race work as an identification of need?
Yes.
Or does need work as an identification of need? And that's what we're speaking about. The bottom line is, when we do so, then we eliminate your cat matlalas from succeed, because on the basis of their blackness, because you're black, you get preferential treatment. You eliminate Bax and I, who are MPs, on the basis of our blackness, we think we benefit. Where poverty as a matrix and need as a matrix comes in is it opens up room for. I always like using the example of Ntebu Wame Matabo, Kastratin Sarona Jerusalem, where we're both girls, we're both young, we're both black, same age, but we don't have the same upbringing. We don't have the same access to resources. We don't have the same current economic participation. So those are the kind of considerations that you're able to do, because if you eliminate the blackness from the equation, then Ndebo, who is a me, but in more need than me, gets to benefit.
Look, I mean, just to wrap it up, Leolo, and I think simply put, when you go and apply for a social grant, they don't ask you, are you black enough to get a social grant?
Are you needful enough?
Are you poor and you need? You then get a social grant. If you don't have funding, having been raised, coming from poor background, when you get to university or a TVET college, when you apply for funding, it doesn't ask you, are you black enough to get the funding? It asks you, are you in need of the funding? And that is a means test that we need to use for BEE. Because what happens now is that you're going to give Bax in perpetuity contracts through tenders of BEE by virtue of the fact that he's black. But I don't need BEE. I've never needed BEE, right? So we need to make sure that we give people that require the assistance based on need, despite the fact that they're black, colored, Indian, or white South Africans, because the reality is that they are poor South Africans in need of that access to the ladder of economic opportunity. And that's the matrix in the DA that we use. That's why we've got an alternative scorecard. Our scorecard doesn't say, oh, you are black enough and therefore we'll give you 30% of this company. It says, no, 80% of what we require from you is that, are you going to contribute to the to the community through employment, through building a school, through fixing a road, through putting water there? Are you going to make sure that you are cost effective? Instead of paying 30 bucks for this, we pay 10 rand. Have you ever been involved in corruption or not finished a specific project? And if you have not, we're going to blacklist you. You're not going to be part of those companies. And therefore, the people that then directly benefit are the people that require a social grant or require NSFAS as a need or require some form of social assistance as a safety net from the government. You then eliminate completely, like what you're saying, your Vusimus, the Cat Matlalas of the world that want to benefit in perpetuity. And the last thing about us, once empowered, always empowered.
Yes.
So if for example, Bex has been now empowered, we assume that you're always empowered. So that we don't have a situation like we do have in housing, where you give somebody an RDP house from a shack, then they give that RDP house to rent to somebody else or sell it to somebody else and go back to a shack. And then they want to get back onto the housing list. So once empowered, always empowered. So we've got that responsibility so that we stop the politically connected few from perpetually benefiting from black. And I think South Africans now understand that we've got an economic inclusion bill that is an alternative to that. And the intention of that is to redress the injustices of the past and make sure that we transform our society from a bottoms-up approach to lift people out of poverty into opportunity. And that's why I think, Donovan, when we talk about the G20 coming up, part of the contentious things, we've seen some leaders pull out. It's just policy positions. It's we need investments, right? And like Karabo said, our leaders met. But the G20 is coming up. We've seen some leaders, pull out, and some of them, it's because of policy. Some of them, it's just I don't know. I don't want to use any words that might not allow me to travel to other countries. But your thoughts on that?
Yes, I think you're correct. The G20 is an amazing opportunity for South Africa to showcase, why we are investor ready, why we are serious about, I think coming out of the 2024 election now with a GNU, which let's face it, the country has only known one form of politics for 400 years, and that is a single party politic. It now has a GNU where it has a serious partner, the DA, sitting at the table and saying, we need to make sure that we are fixing our country, not going with the status quo, not trying to just brush over things. We want to fix the country. And I think this G20 conference is certainly an opportunity for us. Now, yes, Joburg is going to have water for the next 3 weeks. And, it's so weird because...
I love that I'm the point person for Joburg in this conversation.
And the fact that we're laughing is just so sad also because, how South Africa, just numb themselves with laughter in the middle of pain.
Very humorous.
Very
funny people.
But it's become so normal to
we have produced Trevor Noah, which is one of the greatest comedians to be around. So yes, Joburg will have, and the irony about that situation is we'll have the conference. Maybe there'll be a nice honeymoon phase of 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks. The residents of Joburg, however, is going to still sit without water for 365 days and still have that issue again. And so, you have a government in Joburg where they are compensating for a few weeks and actually the rest of the other year, the resident will suffer again pointing to the fact that we need to have a serious partner at the table to actually make the case for South Africa. We've done it with our international relations policy, where the ANC can't assume power in that particular policy for because they are the ANC. This is a GNU. There are other partners around the table. The DA is certainly there and saying we need to make sure that first of all we have a strong case for why countries should invest in South Africa. We need to make sure that countries alike can actually, make sure that we stand together on the same values, which is the other important thing in terms of protecting human rights, etc. And I think the other one, pointing back to the inclusion bill, is to make sure that at the center of our development is some of the sustainable development goals that we want to achieve. Because essentially, what we want to do is we want to work away with per toilet. We want to work away with municipalities that is still struggling to produce, quality water, etc. Africa. And so I think the G20 is important, but you are in Joburg. So, I mean, you must be probably more excited than I am.
Look, I mean, I think everybody that lives in Joburg can agree that Joburg has completely fallen apart. I think it's quite sad that the residents are having to be put through a government that is able to work simply because we have foreign delegations coming into our country, and therefore we can clean the streets, therefore we can ensure that there's water, therefore we can ensure that there's electricity. So it shows that there is capacity to actually do these things, but we will only do them when we want to impress people. And I think it's quite sad that that is the state of affairs. But one thing that is important is that the residents have the front view of what's going on in Johannesburg. And I think if they're seeing that government can do these things but simply just doesn't want to do them, we have an opportunity in Johannesburg to change that and to vote for something different, to vote for a government, a mayor that would actually put the residents first, a mayor that would understand that we will always have water regardless of foreign delegations coming in or, you know, international diplomats coming through. And so I think we have an opportunity there. We have someone who's literally said, I'm putting up my hand to stand for Johannesburg. I've brought change in Cape Town. I've grown up in Johannesburg, and I want to help. I want to, So I think we have a great opportunity in Johannesburg. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's a historical opportunity. Helen Ziller standing in Johannesburg. We have gone through 8 mayors in 8 years. It's been a crazy roller coaster ride, and I think if residents in Johannesburg want that roller coaster to stop, they can simply vote for the DA that has proven time and time again that we can actually change things.
But also, let's talk about beyond the fact that we are putting makeup when we have pimples on.
Sure.
In Joburg.
I love that expression.
Yeah, because there's a G20.
Damn, what is that? Gosh. It was like a jab and a half.
Yeah. Let's talk about what the beauty of what the G20 is and what opportunities lies there for the G20 and what it can achieve for the people of the country. I mean, the G20 gives the country an opportunity to have bilateral agreements on how each country can use each other to achieve the goals of uplifting the people of each country, right? I always love using the examples of higher education, for example. You have our higher education and training sector is just a mess.
Sure.
From TVETs to CETAs to even the university spaces, the funding model even for NSFAS and all of those things. They don't really, the system does not speak to the goal. The reason why you go to school to get training and skills is so that you can get a job.
Yes.
And there's no direct correspondence between what it is that higher education is doing and that ultimate goal. But then you have countries like Switzerland who have mastered that relationship. In Switzerland, there is no academic offering that any institution of higher learning that offers that the private sector is not already agreed on which markets that qualification is going to tap to. So by the time you register, write your first exam and to your graduation, there's already an output plan to say these are the 5 most dominant economic sectors that private sector can guarantee that there's a demand. And then you enter into qualification for that. You are trained, you are upskilled and educated with updated, I need to emphasize, information for that goal. And that's right. And government's even economic policy is directly linked to how that works. So that's what the G20 is able to do. You copy and paste from you, I copy, you copy, we paste each other and we're able to do good work there. But also with our own ministries, for example, let's look at just John Steenhuisen in agriculture alone about what the G20 has been able to achieve. We have tapped into markets that before we could never. We could never send citrus to China or anywhere. But the G20 then affords us.
Absolutely.
So what we should be looking forward to post the G20 is to assess each and every ministry. What have you done? How have you used the G20 as an opportunity to positively impact the everyday living of the people of our country. And that's what the G20 is. And that's what I look forward to seeing what we do.
The everyday living is I think the important caveat there, because it helps people see the importance of why we have these, you always think, why another conference? What's going on? What does it mean to me?
We go strike deals for the country.
Exactly. It impacts your everyday life. The other thing that impacts your every single day life is the local government elections coming up in 2026. Which is obviously, I think it's going to be a very important election for a lot of municipalities. I often say to residents, when you wake up in the morning and you switch on your light, that's local government. When you go to the tap and you fill the kettle with water, when you open the tap, that's local government. When you switch on the kettle and expect electricity, that is local government.
When you flush the toilet.
When you flush the toilet, you expect that it must be flushed. That is local government.
That's if you have a toilet.
That's if you have a toilet. When you're pushing out your bin to, your refuge, that is local government. So, it impacts every single facet of your life. And we have an opportunity next year to ensure that we, have as many municipalities governed by the DA. I want to maybe go around the room to find out, from you, why do you think next year is such an important election for the people of South Africa?
Look, let me tell you, everything that you just mentioned doesn't happen by magic.
It doesn't.
Like, you having a road or not having a road does not happen by magic.
Sure.
You have a flushing toilet doesn't happen by magic. Having a home built, a street light working, a police officer patrolling or metro police, it is not magic.
Sure.
It is dependent on who do you put into government and leadership of your own town, of your own city. And that also doesn't happen by magic that you're going to end up in a ballot box.
Yeah.
We are nomad people generally. We move around.
Yeah.
So if you've moved around between the previous election, which was 2024, and the next election being possibly in November 2026 or early 2027, you need to now go and check your registration status on IEC website or an IEC office. Or even come to the DA will help you, to check your registration status. If you've changed where you lived and you've moved, you need to go and register, because you can't vote if you are not registered. And that's where the bottom line is. It starts with agency. Do I want my own ward and community to work where I live? Then let me go and register so that I'm able to vote for the people that are going to create the magic, because it doesn't naturally happen by its own. And the local government election is so important because it is great cities that make great countries, not the other way around.
I love that.
Right? It's great towns that make great countries, not the other way around.
I love that.
Because if those towns ceases to exist or the cities ceases to exist, then you don't have a country, right? So we need to make sure that we go and put the DA in every single town, utilizing our own communities in every single city, so that we're able to create the magic of making sure that there's water in your home, making sure that you are able to flush the toilet, make sure that the lights are on, so that when the kids have to go wake up early in the morning or parents come back late at night, the street lights are on, so that you feel safe. Your rubbish and refuse is collected, and you've got a government that is going to obsess about creating an environment that is enabling for businesses to come and create jobs. I mean, some small towns and factories have closed down.
Yes.
That's a job. That's a family that has been taken, dignity taken away from them. So for those things to be able to come back, the only solution is the DA, because our obsession is to rescue not only South Africa but the towns and communities that we live in by making sure that we get things done. Things work.
So for me, Dono, I always love making personal examples to drive the point. You can have a braai every time with couples, and at the braai each couple is talking about what goodness their other partner is doing, and you can go back home with your partner and say, did you hear Ntabi Singh's partner is doing this and this and this and this? For as long as Thabo is not interested in being Ntabi Singh's partner, being a better man and showing up, you are going to make as much noise as you can. But for as long as that man is not interested in changing, you're not going to get it.
Sure.
It's the same principle with government.
Sure.
You can tell government however times that, please can you make sure that my sewage works? Please make sure I have water. Please make sure I have electricity. Please make sure that you have somebody come in to collect my refuse. Please make sure that you fill the potholes. Please make sure that the streets are clean. If the boyfriend that is your government does not want to do it, he will not do it because he's not interested and he does not care.
Yeah.
He will do it for somebody he cares for.
Sure.
And clearly you, as the resident, if your government is not doing that, Helageni is about you. They do not love you.
Yeah.
They do not care about you. And what do? With a trash boyfriend, you get rid of him. You get a new one.
Yesterday.
You get a new one, and that's government. That's the example I use all the time.
Boyfriend. Okay.
Yes, or a girlfriend, or whatever, however one you like. It's fine. But I want to make that example because it's literally as simple as that. Government is service delivery. If you have lived under circumstances where you for 31 years you have been screaming and shouting the same thing and begging and begging and begging, and your boyfriend has showed you that they're not interested,
Sure.
you do not deserve him. And that's why in Valcom, where I come from, Machabeng, I vote for the Democratic Alliance because I know very well Bob Khalipa, Bo Mankaofela are not going to deliver that thing. That is why in my constituency, people are having conversations about how in Motlhaka, in Nwate, we're not going to be voting for those people. And what's beautiful for Motlhaka and Nwate is that we have an opportunity to really get rid of them. So it's not a point where we are now
in many
just
places,
starting.
probably.
Yes, in many states. It's not just the case where you're now only realizing that actually this is a shitty boyfriend. I don't want him. He doesn't care about me. You have already gone through the morning. It's just a few votes away. What is the breaking point between a new government, the DA, the love of your life, and the person that has abused you for years is 1-2% away.
We are the love of your life. The love of your life.
So that's the thing for me, and that's
what
the
Lom-
example. Yes, that's where you are, and that's how we should think about it. We should stop giving people multiple chances when they've shown us that they're incapable of being trustworthy with our lives.
That's
Are you the
amazing.
worthy boyfriend?
I was ready to hear Maya Angelou there for a second. I believe them the first time. I think it says. Look, Donovan, what I would say is I think, we're going into a very important election. And I think, when you see a great city like Johannesburg collapse, you don't want to wait for that to happen to your city. And I suppose there's not a lot of cities or towns that are actually working, but there's quite a few. But don't wait for it to get to that state. And I think what I would say is the start is to register. Simple as it can be. Check if you are registered. Are you registered in the correct area? Register to vote. That is the only way that you can start making a difference in your community. That's the only way that you can save your city, you can save your town, is being able to raise your voice in the ballot box and be able to put your vote in the ballot box. And I think most importantly, particularly young people, I mean, we are on so many medias, TikTok, social media, but we need to also make the noise in the right places.
And not just clock it.
And not just clock it.
Clock it on the ballot.
You register first for you to clock it.
You need to register, and I think we need to make the 20, 40 years from now, who's going to be here? Who's going to be trying, who's going to still be living with the repercussions of our country? It's going to be us, and I think we need to be able to stand now while we have the opportunity. We have the ideas, we have the vision, we are willing to push the boundaries, and I think if we're willing to do that, we can save our cities, we can save our towns, we can do the most that we can. And so, please register to vote.
Yeah, but I want to say something to you, Don, that young people, just be careful of big talkers.
Yes.
There are people that talk big,
but do nothing.
like very exciting, like local government and governance and delivery. It's not about emotions. It's not about emotions. Oh, this one makes me laugh and this one makes me happy. Yeah, I mean, we may be a boyfriend, but with that
but we want
boyfriend that
service
delivers.
delivering the boyfriend, not the boyfriend that tells you I will marry you but never marry you.
Yeah, so bottom line is that they're big talkers, right? They're big talkers in the PA, they're big talkers in the AFF.
Yes, they do.
But there's no delivery.
Yes.
Delivery is dololo, similar to the ANC. So when people go and register to vote, think to yourself, what are the basic essence and needs I need? Who's going to deliver those? And if I need to have a side bar in the PA and the AFF, you can do it after elections. They can make you laugh there. They can, they can buy you a drink. That's fine. But for delivery.
For delivery.
Clock
It's
it.
the DA.
Yeah.
You must clock the DA. It's very simple. What love of your lives.
Yes.
You know,
Please.
just jump into our DMs. We'll help you.
You're welcome for
Don't have
that
a side
analogy.
Exactly.
No
Yeah,
side
no,
chicks.
No. Sidebar. You
No
know,
sidebar, yeah.
As in
Come back,
conversation.
focus.
Yeah.
Love it. No, look, I mean that's spot on. I think that's the excitement for next year, and as we build to the elections, I think South Africans have an opportunity to see a government that really works, that really cares, that really want to make sure that basic services are delivered. We are obsessed about basic services. We are obsessed about bringing growth to communities so that jobs can be created. And for us, we want to see dignified lives lived in every single township, in every single municipality, in every single community that South Africa has. So for those of you watching, please make sure that you go to check.da.org.za to check your registration status. Go and register to vote, and so that you can make sure your town too has the love of their lives, which is the Democratic Alliance.
Speaking of checking your registration status, NSFAS Bazalwand.
Yes. Oh.
Don't take us to that mess. Let me just warn you now.
Hey.
Let's not go into that mess. It's a terrible mess. The only thing that we can just say about NSFAS is that it must be decentralized to competent in universities,
All of
cut
them.
the red tape,
Yes.
fix it. I mean, the Minister of Finance spoke at length about, and we trust you, Karabo, to raise those issues.
Look, for the decentralization conversation is one that comes from the previous administration. We spoke at length in the portfolio committee to say it does not help that you have a centralized office in Cape Town where institutions of higher learning are not in the central head office of Cape Town. They are in every institution, and you have financial aid offices at each and every institution. So what must happen is to make sure that we go back. We were fine once upon a time where you could wake up as a student, go to campus and know you can knock at the financial aid office and immediately get help. Now you are supposed to call Cape Town does not answer. You're supposed to go into the website, the portal does not work. You don't know what your registration status is. So what's great is that in this administration, there's been an undertaking to make sure that decentralization happens. It's been the first order of business that our committee gave to government, and they agreed on. And this is what we are seeing that even NSFAS is moving towards, because also another thing they must do is get out of that fancy office that they're spending billions of rands for looking at the harbour, doing nothing when students are hungry on campuses without allowances, without accommodation, and even if they have accommodation, it's not good quality accommodation, and they're defunded for reasons that do not make sense. What we must do going into 2026 is to assess. Government has agreed that decentralization must happen. Come the start of the 2026 academic year, is it decentralized? Is it more accessible for young people? But also the model itself, the funding model of NSFAS, the way it's currently organized, does not work. It really doesn't, because NSFAS has taken their responsibility of funding and they've given it to 4 other people who are linked to the SACP, who are linked to other cronies within the system.
Just stop there. I want to, because I need to let's just quickly one step back.
Am I going?
Yeah. Because I think this is
Very
important
passionate.
to bring clarity to this. So you've mentioned decentralization. We are going to December now. A lot of students, while we are thinking about holiday and enjoying ourselves, a lot of students are now, they've matriculated, they are anxious. They're thinking, am I going to get funding? Am I going to be able to register in Jan, Feb? Unpack for me decentralization, because I think we first need to understand what that means, and then I think I think it's also important to for people to understand why actually them outsourcing the work that they are paid to do is so problematic. It's so problematic.
Okay, firstly, on the state of readiness for the 2026 academic year, the portfolio committee is meeting with NSFAS this week. Today is Sunday, so Monday, that Wednesday, we're having that because it's committee week, to discuss that and test it, to test also the commitment to the decentralization. What is decentralization? Decentralization means the center must be decentralized. So moving from where you have one head office, you go and make sure that every space where the need exists is occupied by somebody that has the ability and the resources to resolve the matter quickly. It means every university, every TVET, you must go there and on campus, even if it's just on the main campus. And then there's rotations. You have people there. You would know that NSFAS has, beyond just the people who sit there, each and every region has a person that is the regional manager or the regional officer that is responsible for rotating to help. But that one person in one region is not going to do much, particularly in the Eastern Cape. You have dense places like the Free State, KwaZulu-Natal. It does not work. So what we're now saying is, instead of having one person that is responsible for the region, each and every institution's office must have an NSFAS. So that's the call, and that's what we've been clear about, and that's where we are. And then let's talk about the shifting of mandates. Which they could also call decentralization, hogwash. So NSFAS's responsibility is to fund you, to pay your university, your TVET, for you to go to school, that your curriculum is paid, that if you need housing, that the accommodation you stay in is paid for, that the books you use are paid for, that the food you eat are paid for, the necessities you have are paid for. Full stop. That's their job. So who can tell you what is the cost of your course
University.
or your qualification? The university. Hello, Donovan. How much do you need for B6I? 50 rand, 50 rand. I don't need to give it to Bex and say Bex Zamofa. I ain't gotta do that. That's not necessary. You don't need the middleman.
It's exactly what we're fighting against around cadre deployment. How B was set up is someone must benefit along the way, so that this cup is more expensive than how much it is. So it's similar to the cost of study, of a student. And I think our intention is to make sure no student is left behind. And I know that you're going to drive that in committee. I know we will drive it, through our structures on the ground in DASO to make sure that people are there. If you need help, we will be there in the beginning of the year for those matrics that are going to finish, for those that are returning students. But the reforms that we're going to drive are policy related, they're legislative related, and I think we're going to have to drive those with vigor so that no student is left behind. The intention of going to apply for funding is that you want to get a qualification and education so that they go change the circumstances of your birth. That's the bottom line, right?
So if we decentralize, does it mean that the CEO no longer earns his 4 million rand a year?
Imagine.
Let's start with how did we even get to the 4 million? Because it's
that
not
whole
just,
thing is
it's not just a Wasim Karim thing. It's something that his predecessors have lined up and pocketed to get us there. But I want us to go back, the middleman. So we're breaking down that chain. And it's brilliant that the Minister of Finance of the country has also identified a spending inefficiency there to say you somebody must benefit, it shouldn't. When you accredit student accommodation providers, on the system automatically you must know that Loyolo is providing 70 beds, Bax is providing 50, Karabo 25. You know directly who they are. You know what is the cost. You don't need Bakolile to go pay them. Just pay the people.
The institution,
because what you have done is that you've ended up with people who, some of these service providers sit back with the money that NSFAS gives them, and they do not even pay it to the final destination. Why is it good for them to keep that money? Is because they generate interest in money sitting in their accounts. But for others, it's just simply ill. Gone. They've just eaten the students' money. Stop it.
The money kind.
Innocent.
The money kind.
Innocent.
The money kind.
You guys, I actually implore the both of you to go sit with Donovan after this for him to give you advice on how to just be satisfied.
Fine.
Must just get married and be happy. Stop. Listen, the point here is you have a situation where, because people have forgotten about what funding for university and higher education is about, you have young people whose
Sure.
dreams and lives are just being destroyed.
Sure, yeah.
That's why we've been fighting so hard as the Democratic Alliance to detoxify appointments of people who are supposed to be honest public servants from political manipulation.
Yeah.
Because they, even there with the service providers for skills development, there are people who are bogus altogether. You don't know who the people who are giving the skills to young people are. Two, you can't even. The Auditor General tells you all the time that when the ASITA said they gave you 100 rand to go buy bread, a packet of chips, and a Coke, you can't produce the slip. Neither can you produce the loaf, the bread, and the packet of chips. But yet the money is gone altogether. Because why? When ministers appoint politically connected people just on the basis of that, it gives the loophole for people to just really just have a Christmas spree with the country's resources, when in fact they're supposed to be focusing on skills development for young people of this country who without those skills will not be able to get jobs.
No, look, I mean, talking about a Christmas spree, obviously we're not trying to, do that. I mean, I think you've done a solid job in higher education. I think we still need to raise those policy issues and we'll drive those issues.
Yeah.
But, I just wanted to say to you guys, as we're on that Christmas spree space. I want to ask you guys 2 questions before we depart.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
For each of us. And we can start with you.
Mr. Innocence.
Yeah, Mr. I'm not sure about this thing of innocence. Right now, first one before we part, what book are you reading at the moment, or movie or show that you're obsessed with, and why? Just to wind down.
All right, cool. I just started watching something new. Squid Games challenges or Challenger. I think it's called.
Is that animation?
No. It's like a. You don't know anyone?
It's on Netflix.
I know Squid Games.
But like the challenge one, not that serious one. So I just started watching that. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it about?
It's like Squid Games, but like
What is Squid
reality.
Games?
Squid Games.
If you've never watched Squid Games, you don't have a problem.
Please watch Squid Games.
Have you not watched Squid Games?
Sounds very wrong. No, I haven't.
No.
Yeah, I have to cover
This
for
table. This table needs some
I don't know what Squid Games are. That's why I keep asking, like, is it animation? What is it?
No.
It's basically it's men and
Don't
women.
even, she
just needs to go watch.
watch it.
Okay.
You won't be able to summarize it.
It's like too much.
Go to Netflix, tap Squid Games.
Okay.
Donovan?
I've just finished The Diplomat.
Oh, that's really cool. I
It's
love
on
it.
Netflix.
Yeah.
It's my way to learn more
Season
about
2?
Season 2, yes. My way
I've only
of
watched
learning.
season 1, actually.
Yeah, season 2 is very good. And I'm reading a book called that was given by Jordan, The Essentialism, which is the subtext is the disciplined pursuit of less, which is basically a book that helps you to focus on what's important and not just like be all over the show, be busy but not productive.
All right.
Okay. For me, so I love Grey's Anatomy, guys. I really do. But then it's exhausting. Like, you never finish watching Grey's Anatomy. And then there are times where your emotions are just...
Yes.
So what I've done is I've put Grey's on pause.
Okay.
And I've started watching... Because I never watched Empire. I did not
So good.
know Cookie Lion is
So
such a
good.
badass. Like, I just love her. It's just
good.
like, yes, girl. It's
Yeah.
really lovely. But what I like about what Empire is teaching me is just the value of working hard and staying true and commitment to self and that which you've committed to for the out goals. It's teaching you discipline, fight, and all of those things.
Yeah.
What I'm reading is I'll start reading political things probably in January. But for the rest of the year, what I like to do towards the end of the year is just taking stock of how far you've come in life. What have you done? What do you need to improve on? And so there is a series of books that I got in Switzerland on a trip I did 2 years ago. It's a series of 4 books. It's from the School of Life. So it's one on confidence, on why you will marry the wrong person, on why people hate cheap things. I forgot the fourth one, what it is about. And what it systematically does, it changes psychological patterns around relationships, both platonic and romantic and family ones. How you stereotypes around cheap things and the commitment that challenging the thought of what is expensive versus what is cheap, not just in material form, but in human form. And it makes you question, are you living a quality life? Are you living a cheap life? Are you living an expensive life? How do you find those things?
I wish wine was that deep. It's not. I'm just reading Kitty's books because my son needs to.
Baby shock.
My son just needs to read for meaning. So I help him like with his reading, but I'm also making him read Xhosa books as well because we speak 3 languages at home: Xhosa, Sotho, and Zulu. So I'm making him read those.
Nice.
Good.
But the show that I've been obsessed with, funny enough, is on Mzansi Magic. It's in Nimba.
When social media is popping on that thing.
Yeah, I've watched Nimba from the beginning. It's basically, this is where the Xhosa part to translate into English is difficult. But Nimba is basically a feeling you feel as a parent towards your child. Wow. Right? And it's just a story about, a married couple where you've got a very masculine, cultural Xhosa man who marries a very successful Xhosa woman who becomes a tech, you know what I mean, like a CEO tech, giant, and how those two worlds actually clash. And how, the husband took away the child from the woman, when she had to choose between staying as a married woman or, exploring an opportunity for her to, like, in her career.
Choose?
So it's been a very, very exciting, well-written story. I would encourage anybody to go watch, the lessons that you can take away from, from that. So that's basically.
I'll go watch it because I've only seen on social media.
Definitely should. There's nothing I love more than South African stories, especially in our different languages that we can understand, take home, learn from. And I think it's got powerful lessons.
What's the second question you wanted to ask?
Second question. So, if politics had a theme song for the week for you, if you had to jam to us now, Liolo, and say, you know what, this is what's up.
Can we start from Karabo?
All right, Karabo, go for it.
Even me, I'm still thinking. Okay, I would think, there's for me, with everything that is just a mess in this country, there's a struggle song. Safa sapeli sizwe simnyama.
That is deep, bro.
But for me, I wouldn't say sizwe simnyama. I would say Safa sapeli sizwe sonke, because we have people dying every day, and politics. And when I say politics theme song, the more work you do in Parliament, the more you realize, there are departments that people are dying just because there are people sitting at positions that they have no business be sitting in. You have bureaucrats just occupying positions for fun, with no heart, no care, no service in their mind. And unless we are careful, our country would be picking up ashes.
All right. Yours? Yeah. Donovan, no, let's go. I'm
come, Donovan, come. You next.
There's a song by Sam Smith.
Okay.
You say I'm crazy, but you don't think I know what you want. But when you call me baby, I know I'm not. The GNU.
When you call me, I'm not the only one.
The GNU. See what they call you,
you're not the only one. That's a really good one, yeah.
Okay, so for me, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a theme of the week, but I'll just say the theme of whatever the day is today. That you guys know. Cheers to the freaking weekend. Cheers to the freaking weekend.
I'll drink to that.
Coffee.
See,
tea.
now I
Drinking water.
Water.
By starting out to you guys, there's a song called Shela. Right? Shela we nasazanega ngono. That basically says to the voter, come 2026, we're going to come Shela, meaning we're going to come speak to you.
There we go.
To come borrow the GNU vote.
And know you better.
So that we can rescue your city or your town, man. I want to know you better, know? Come know us better, we'll know you better. That's basically the song. So signing out, it was a good one, guys. A solid one.
I love it.
And hopefully you have a very good week with your jams, you know?
Yeah.
All right, white elephant in the room.
The white elephant
in the room.
There we go.